Hello and welcome to the Run Testers. My name's Nick. In this video I'm going to be comparing the Nike Pegasus 41 and the Nike Pegasus Plus. So the Pegasus Plus and the Pegasus 41 are both versatile daily trainers from Nike. Before we dive into the details, I want to say I got both of these shoes from Sports Shoes for my review. Those are my review samples. We're not affiliated with Sports Shoes in any way, and as always our review is completely unbiased, but thanks to them for sending me out the samples of the shoes. Pegasus Plus is the more expensive shoe. It costs £165 or $180. Pegasus 41 is £130 or $140. Pegasus Plus is a fair bit lighter. It's 257 grams or 9 ounces in a UK size 9. The Pegasus 41 is 291 grams or 10.3 ounces in the same size. They've both got a 10mm drop and a decent stack height on both of the shoes. I think the Pegasus 41 has a slightly higher stack at the heel, but both of them are in the mid to upper 30s at the heel, I'd say. The Pegasus 41 is obviously the latest version of the very popular Pegasus line, whereas the Pegasus Plus is the reincarnation of the short-lived Pegasus Turbo line, which had a couple of versions in the late 2010s and is now back in the form of the Pegasus Plus. So with the Pegasus 41, you've got a ReactX midsole mostly, with two Air Zoom pods, one under the heel and one under the forefoot. You've then got an engineered mesh upper with a lot of padding around the tongue in particular and around the heel, and quite a structured heel counter as well. And then you've got a waffle tread outsole with pretty good coverage across the shoe, just a little bit of exposed foam around there, which shouldn't be a problem at all. With the Pegasus Plus, you've got a ZoomX midsole, although it's not necessarily the exact version of ZoomX you'll have in shoes like the Vaporfly and the Alphafly. It is their most impressive and bouncy foam. You've got a Flyknit upper with pretty good padding around the back of the shoe and an internal heel counter, but not much on the tongue. That's where a bit of weight has been saved compared to the Pegasus 41, which does have a very big tongue. Then you've got a similar outsole pattern on the shoe, but it's a slightly thinner layer. You've got a bit more exposed foam in the midfoot. Once again, they've saved a bit of weight on the Pegasus Plus there with that outsole, but you've still got pretty good coverage in all the key impact areas, and the grip's going to be pretty similar to the Pegasus 41 as well. Comes to fit of the two shoes, I've got a UK 9 in both, which is a US 10. That's the size I've used across Nike shoes for several years on every type of shoe, and it does fit me very well with both of these shoes. I've got enough room in the toe box. You may have got a slightly more spacious fit with the Pegasus 41, but I've had no problems with either shoe on that front. Good hold around the heel and midfoot. You've got a slightly more oppressive feel at the back of the Pegasus 41, or comfortable feel, I suppose you could phrase it like that. You've got a very padded tongue there and more padding around the heel. Now that's fine here in the UK. I think if you are in a really hot country, you might notice that tongue a little bit in a negative way, whereas you've got a thinner, more breathable tongue on the Pegasus Plus, although you do then have that filled in stripe at the front of the shoe, which reduces breathability a little bit there. I'd say for breathability, they've both been fine for me, and overall I definitely think the fit is pretty good, true to size, so I would stick to your normal running shoe size with both shoes. So I've run about 55, 65k in both of these shoes, using them for a mix of daily training runs, kind of long runs, slightly faster stuff, a lot of just general easy runs each day, which is where they really excel. I think they're two shoes that have a very similar setup in terms of their geometry, with the 10mm drop and the quite traditional setup actually being fairly distinctive these days in the marketplace. They're not really rocket shoes or anything like that, but the difference between them really comes down to the materials you have here, with the ZoomX foam in the Pegasus Plus midsole really elevating the experience of running in it compared to the still good, but not quite as good ReactX midsole with those Air Zoom pods on the Pegasus 41. So the boost you get from that ZoomX, is considerable. It's not like the Pegasus 41 is a bad shoe at all, but it's just a more responsive foam, more lightweight foam, just gives the shoe a little bit more versatility and that capability to run at faster paces. Like the ReactX foam got a bit of that, but the shoe feels much more geared up for easy runs and more being very protective and comfortable rather than really feeling like it's going to give you much back when it comes to faster paces. That said, the Pegasus 41 is a shoe I did enjoy running in. It's got a very comfortable feel at the heel. It's really squishy there with that big wedge of ReactX. Transitions pretty well as well. You've got a nice snap through, and those Air Zoom pods do add a little bit of pop, but you don't necessarily get a huge amount back from the forefoot. So when I was running faster in the shoe, that was noticeable to me. Put a lot of force in, you get moving onto the forefoot quickly, but then you don't really get that much punch off that forefoot. So it doesn't really feel like a shoe that's great for sustaining fast paces, I'd say. You can do intervals and that kind of thing, but really I enjoyed it most as a comfort first shoe just for easy miles. And that's where the Pegasus Plus is different, especially in that forefoot, because you do get a much more poppy feel, a more responsive feel off the forefoot of the shoe when you do start running fast. It's still pretty comfortable at the heel, I'd say. It transitions in a similar way to the Pegasus 41, but you then just get that slightly more poppy feeling off that forefoot, and it's easy to run fast in the shoe. I did an easy to steady progression run in the shoe, just moving through the gears, and it felt pretty effortless to up the pace. Despite the fact it's got that 10mm drop, it still feels fairly smooth with the foam kind of cushioning that transition, so I'm not really snapping through too hard as a heel striker. Sometimes that gives me a bit of of discomfort under the forefoot if I've got a higher drop shoe like this, but didn't really get that with the Pegasus Plus. Also used it on a 15-mile long run, and it does feel like a shoe you can cruise around in at easy paces for sure, but then just gives you that little bit more speed than the Pegasus 41 if you are going to use it for kind of sustained hard runs like longer intervals or tempo sessions. And then the other thing that certainly helps on that front is the fact that it is a lighter shoe, and it's a more nimble shoe as well. Like I think you've got a wider shoe with the Pegasus 41 than the Pegasus Plus, and that gives it that slightly more nimble feeling that I like. I think it's still a pretty stable shoe, even though it's got ZoomX in the midsole. It's not the softest, wobbliest version of ZoomX you find in some shoes, so have quite a stable experience in a more lightweight, nimble package, whereas the Pegasus 41 has the extra width and is certainly very stable, but doesn't give you that same sensation of feeling fast on the foot. There's a difference as well on the outsole. You have got, a thicker and more full outsole on the Pegasus 41. That will probably help a little bit with durability in the long term, but don't think it's a massive problem with the Pegasus Plus. Like I think with both of them, you have to be a little bit careful sometimes of running on kind of wet drain covers. That Nike's outsole is never that good for that kind of thing, but for the most part, the grip has been fine. I've used both on light trails, not this exact Pegasus 41. I've got a different colorway I've used here. This is obviously a brand new one, which is why it looks so fresh. And they've been fine on light trails. I don't think durability is going to be a major concern with either. If you step on a sharp stone or something, you might be able to puncture the ZoomX in the midfoot of the Pegasus Plus, but I don't think it's going to be anything that affects performance, and you have got coverage and grip at the key areas on the outsole. So I did a short run wearing both shoes to try and feel out the differences a bit more, and they definitely do have that similar geometry in terms of the way they rock through with that 10mm drop, but it is quite a different sensation underfoot. You definitely get a squishier feel at the heel of the Pegasus 41. It feels like a broader platform, and then as you transition through, you don't really get, like I say, a lot of pop off the forefoot. It's quite a dull forefoot, I find, with the Pegasus 41. It's comfortable, does a job, moves through okay, but you've got a lighter, nimbler feeling with the Pegasus Plus, and certainly a lot more bounce off that forefoot, and I think it just gives you that edge in terms of versatility, because although it's not quite as comfortable and stable at the back of the shoe as the Pegasus 41, it still is pretty good on those fronts, and then it gives you that extra lightness and responsiveness for faster runs. When it comes to the verdict, I do think the Pegasus Plus is a lighter and just better shoe than the Pegasus 41 all round. I would use these two shoes for the same purpose, which is general daily trainers, a bit of a mix of everything, and I enjoy doing pretty much every run more in the Pegasus Plus myself. It's a bit lighter, it's a bit nimbler. I don't think you're really sacrificing comfort or stability though, and while the Pegasus 41 is a good shoe, I think the Pegasus Plus is just simply a better one and worth the upgrade you have to pay, because it is a fairly big jump in price. Now, I don't think it's necessarily worth it for everyone. If you are a newer runner who just wants a shoe to be protective and comfortable and use for your first runs, the Pegasus 41 will serve you very well indeed, and you can pick it up at a lower price. It's also a shoe that will always pop up in sales, so you can make a big saving on the Pegasus 41 mainly. So if you're also looking to round out a rotation and just want a comfort first shoe for easy runs, easy short runs, then you could get the Pegasus 41. It will do that job really well. If you're looking for more of a versatile shoe, then the Pegasus Plus is definitely the one to go for. But if you already have something like a plated training shoe in the range or something like that, then the Pegasus 41 could be your easy day shoe and it will do that job really well. But in terms of pure performance, I think the Pegasus Plus is the shoe to go for from these two. It is a Pegasus Plus. It is an upgrade on the standard Pegasus, so that's good to know. And it does feel a lot like the original Pegasus Turbo to me. So I think it's a really good shoe. Pegasus 41 is a very solid shoe as well, and a fair bit cheaper, but the Pegasus Plus is my pick of these two. That's a comparison of the two Nike Pegasus Pegasi. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Please do like and subscribe, ring the little bell. We'll see you next time.